It was just a normal day. I came here, this is my brain surgery, so I came here to pick up Imran, who used to be my caretaker for this surgery. So I just parked my car there and I just walked around and opened the door, and then in my second door there's a little glass, and I looked through the glass. And to my shock, Dr. Imran Yusuf, he was just hanging in the stairs, and I was really shocked at the time. He was such a brilliant chap who came from Pakistan and to do a job here, and he had to pass his lab test, which he did, and he was looking for the job.
Dr. Imran Yusuf, a 28-year-old doctor from Pakistan, like many thousands of doctors, had come in response to an advert by the UK government inviting overseas medics to work with the NHS. Hopes crashed when rules were changed retrospectively. The Department of Health decided to give priority to doctors from the UK and the EU over everyone else. No job and mounting debts. For Dr. Yusuf, future looked bleak. The last blow came when his visa extension was denied. Dr. Yusuf committed suicide on the 19th of January 2007. Next to his body, right here in this surgery, a letter from the Home Office refusing him an extension to stay in the UK was found.
Suddenly, to find him, such a brilliant doctor, to find him hanging, it was heartbreaking.
Dr. Basra is still haunted by the day. So is BAPIO, British Association of Physicians of Indian origin, founded in 1996 by Dr. Ramesh Mehta to stand and speak for overseas doctors, especially of Indian origin, and for anyone who knocked their doors. At the time, BAPIO was supporting Dr. Yusuf.
Imran's death actually made us wake up to the fact that whatever we were doing wasn't good enough, because we tried to extend all possible help to Imran, and we had to rethink our strategies.
Imran's tragic story made Dr. Mehta relive the days when he arrived in the UK in 1981. It took him back to the time and reasons that instigated him to start BAPIO.
I wasn't finding a job. I had to find support because I didn't have enough resources. I had to stay with my friend Dr. Kathane for a long time. And all that while I was thinking, and all that reminded me, I was also thinking of how we can assist other people who are going through the similar situation that I myself in 1981 when I came went through, and people still are struggling to find the right place in the National Health Service.
Dr. Kathane and Dr. Mehta go a long way. In 1971, when thousands of refugees from Bangladesh poured into India, on Dr. Mehta's behest, Dr. Kathane, along with a team of like-minded young doctors, volunteered at the refugee camps. Having witnessed Dr. Mehta's commitment and passion to social causes, it did not take much convincing from Dr. Kathane for fellow doctors to open their doors to BAPIO.
I remember I had hosted a welcome home party for him in my back garden, and over there I invited many of my friends who were in Bedford. I introduced Ramesh to all these people and said, here is a really good chap, you need to know him. And so that was the very first stage of formation of BAPIO.
It is a doctors association for the benefit of doctors. So for this good cause, I joined. Well, BAPIO didn't have any money at all, and we just raised it either through sponsorship from the medical reps, asked all the doctors to ask their spouses actually to make some food. So everybody was making one dish per doctor. So for example, 10 doctors, 10 dishes, and we saved actually that way. And whatever actually money we got from the medical rep, that was all for the BAPIO, for the good causes actually.
Dr. Mehta and I, we arranged some cricket games. I particularly from different backgrounds, arranging cultural programs like Diwali and other programs to sell the tickets and save the profit, which used to go to BAPIO. Other 4 things which have served BAPIO very well is samosa, pakoda, cricket and Bollywood.
The idea of BAPIO was conceived in Dr. Mehta's living room, right here, and from here, it travelled to the living rooms of doctors who formed the core group. On the principles of diversity, equality, and justice, finally, 4 pillars of BAPIO were formulated.
First pillar of BAPIO is to influence government policies.
Second pillar of BAPIO is education, training and equal opportunity for all.
Third pillar of BAPIO is helping doctors in difficulty.
Fourth pillar of BAPIO is charity and support in disaster.
While BAPIO was conceived and born in my living room, in my house, it actually grew in this place. In 1993, I joined this hospital, the Bedford Hospital, and I was part of planning and designing the building you see behind me, the Mother and Child Unit, which also was inaugurated by Her Majesty the Queen in 1996, the year BAPIO was launched.
BAPIO grew in numbers and size, but the first real test came with the 2006 case, the seeds of which were sown in early 2000 when the UK government invited overseas doctors through advertisements, the one that tempted Dr. Imran Yusuf to come to the UK and many others, including Dr. Achyutan Sajayan.
Like myself, many people got an impression that there were lots of jobs in this country at that time. But the reality was different. There were lots of people living in crowded conditions, living off food from the temples and gurudwaras, and people who have passed PLAB, fully qualified and postgraduate qualified doctors from India, struggling to get a job in this country.
The PLAB test is taken by overseas doctors to work in the UK, but it does not guarantee jobs, even today. The advert attracted doctors. Soon, supply superseded demand. Despite paying and passing the PLAB test, overseas doctors in thousands remained jobless. The British government changed the goalposts, brought in new rules, and applied them retrospectively. Doctors from the UK and the EU were given preference in jobs irrespective of qualifications, talent, or experience. Even the visa requirements were altered.
The jobs used to come in 6-month blocks. So normal process is during that time you apply for the next job and you extend your visa. But there is no visa to extend it. So I remember sitting one day in the middle of a small place in Yorkshire thinking I can't extend my visa because I don't have a job offer. And the reason why I don't have a job offer is because no such visa exists. So you're in a catch-22. So your only option is then to throw away all your ambition and take up a dead-end job which needs a different kind of visa.
This is the trap that doctors like Imran Yusuf found themselves in. They came on an invitation, spent time, energy, and money passing all the licensing exams, but were left without a job and were finally told to leave the country. Indebted, tired, frustrated, and no careers to go back to. BAPIO became their voice.
I felt very strongly about this injustice. I could do nothing about it on my own, and these were the only group who seemed to be trying to do something. Because I'd gone to the Nigerian doctors' groups, I'd gone to every other group I knew of. And, they all said, oh, yes, it's terrible, but, you've got to keep your head down in this society. And I just thought, no, you can't, because this is wrong.
We were invited to Chatham House. In this meeting, one of the postgraduate dean said that we have to stop the tap. What he meant was we must stop overseas people coming in this country and taking the training posts. And this was a great concern for me. And when I went back and we had discussion with our members, we were extremely worried.
To begin with, we spoke to the government. We wrote to majority of the MPs in all the constituencies. We used the services of media. We even managed to put in an early day motion through Austin Mitchell in the Parliament. We spoke to the then Health Minister, and none of this, or actually I would say, all this fell on deaf ears. And we felt quite dejected. And that is why we had no choice other than to file a case in the High Court.
It was very disappointing when the initial court said, no, you don't have a case. But we didn't give up. And I think, again, it is at those moments of time where it would have been easy to say, actually, we've lost in court, we don't have any money of our own, and we just should give up and go. But we didn't. I really think that BAPIO stood up for itself, and we had a fantastic QC who was advising us, Mr. Singh, and he said, no, I think there's a chance and we can appeal on this behalf and we can go ahead on these grounds. So it was seminal when we were given permission to appeal to the House of Lords, which was the Supreme Court at the time.
At the appeal stage, BAPIO won. It was no small victory.
On the day that we won, I just felt this sense of, we're little people taking on the big British institutions, and everybody had written us off. No one thought we could go anywhere with this, and we had won. But I also remembered Imran, and I wished he was alive to see that day.
I had the feeling of elation that I never felt before, just like having 5 pints of beer.
I felt that this is a watershed moment for overseas doctors in the UK, and that this decision would have far-reaching positive influence on our careers and how we were perceived by the system.
I was ecstatic. We took the British government to court and we won. It is at this moment that I realized there is still some fairness left in the system.
One of the important results of this victory was acceptance by doctors at large in the whole country that there is an organization which is able to stand up to injustice, stand up for equality, stand up for inclusion. And that moment, BAPIO became a big name, and that was the beginning of huge expansion for BAPIO.
From humble beginnings, BAPIO expanded around the country. Many divisions and forums were set up.
We now have over 13 divisions of BAPIO across the United Kingdom. These include 3 national divisions in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, where health is a devolved matter. And in addition, we have a number of regional divisions covering various regions like Southwest, Southeast, and so on. It's very important for the divisions to function cohesively because they act as the eyes and ears of BAPIO.
To meet the needs of specialities and subspecialties, forums like Pediatric, GP, SAS LED were formed.
I think it's important to understand that you can have a central point like BAPIO, but then each of them, within it, there are so many subspecialties, there are so many talented people in BAPIO, and there are some who need a lot of different expertise like safety advice or for career progression. And I think that is where the need came in 2005, and we've now got about 10 forums.
About 30% of our doctor population consists of SAS and LED forum. So that most of them are either overseas graduates, and they're non-training, but they are experienced people. They are hardworking, and they are not the one which sitting on the deck of a ship, but they are the one sitting in the boiler and running the ship.
In addition to those that cater to specialities, there are forums for young doctors, women, and for doctors' well-being as a whole as well.
Being doctors, it's very, very difficult to make any additional time during that 9 to 5 working hours, and your main focus is patients and the work when you're in the hospital. So it's really important that we have something to connect socially, and for the emotional needs, that we have such sessions conducted out of hours, that is in the evenings or in the weekends, so that we can all look after ourselves.
Launched on the 1st of March 2010, Medical Defence Shield provides comprehensive cover for both employment and professional defence. This arm of BAPIO delivers on its promise to protect the medics through conflict resolution and provide legal defence.
We knew that the professional other organizations traditionally were not helping international doctors because they didn't quite understand the sensitivities and the cultural ethos, and they weren't very personal. And occasionally they would have conflicts of interest. I think just the sense that we've actually helped people negotiate very difficult procedures, processes, legal challenges and pitfalls, and save their careers, and in event, save their own personal lives, but then also impacted patient care, because these doctors are now working and helping this country. It's quite an amazing feeling that actually you were a little part of the journey.
BAPIO Training Academy is the training and education arm of the organization that delivers on one of its crucial promise of strategic approach to promote professional and clinical excellence. It is open to all healthcare workers.
India produces 85,000 doctors, but hardly 35,000 manage to get into postgraduate training programs. Whilst UK, on the other hand, continues to face significant workforce crisis. So what we did was, with this unique, innovative, first of its kind Indo-UK program, we literally built a bridge between the two countries, produced a training program which will not only benefit the trainees, bringing the clinical medicine back to focus, making them fine clinicians, but we have also introduced a bespoke MBA in healthcare management and leadership. So after 4 years of training, these trainees will not only be fine clinicians, but will also be fine leaders.
Slowly and steadily, BAPIO was developing into a bigger and stronger organization. And just then came yet another litmus test.
So in October 2010, I got this bad news from RCGP saying that Dr. Mascara, this is going to be your last attempt to take the exam. So that's my membership exam to qualify as a general practitioner in UK. So my heart just sank, because if I didn't pass the exam, my career was over. I was having training in Aberdeen at that time, and there were around 12 to 13 of my colleagues of Indian origin having the similar problem, and we all were given this ultimatum of last attempt.
Passing CSA is the route to becoming a GP in the UK. The rule is that if a trainee doctor fails the exam 4 times, they are disbarred from taking it again. Differences were found in the pass rates between the white and BAME origin trainees. medics from overseas were 15 times more likely to fail the exam. Trainees who could not pass their CSA exams had their careers blocked. But was this fair?
We thought this cannot be right. And once we said we are going to fight it, the complexity of the legal case was amazing. In the end, I remember with the solicitors, Linda Myers at that time, we ended up collecting around 18 folders of bundles of caseworks, of statements from various doctors, and all the evidence which went behind it. And that is the time when we started defining unconscious bias.
BAPIO took the Royal College of General Practitioners and the General Medical Council responsible for conducting the CSA exams to court in February 2013. BAPIO argued that this exam was racially discriminatory. A 3-day trial in April of 2014 was held in the Royal Court of Justice. The judge concluded that there was no evidence to suggest that the exam was discriminatory.
In legal terms, we did lose, but the conscience-stricken judge had to say, if BAPIO brought this case back in a year's time, you will have a case to answer. He warned the Royal College that you will have a case to answer if BAPIO brought back this case. And he also said that BAPIO has won a moral victory. By this time, BAPIO has grown well, that we had our own team of solicitors and MDs, and we were not willing to take this lying down. So all the traditional organizations have now started thinking about conscious as well as unconscious discrimination.
The pass rate, unfortunately, in spite of all the work we have been doing, continues to be as bad as it has been. However, that doesn't stop us from doing something to sort this out. Now, over last 1 year, more than 150 of our doctors voluntarily have been working on the effect of what we call differential attainment. So differential pass rate is only one part of differential attainment of ethnic minority doctors. So we are just about to publish the report, and we are hoping that we will use our influence of the 10 solutions that we are providing should eventually, gradually change.
Impact on junior doctors is not limited to exams, but also has implication on patient care at the coal face of medicine. A case that exemplifies this is that of Dr. Khadija Bawa Garva. On the 18th of February 2011, a 6-year-old child, Jack Addock, was admitted to the Leicester Royal Infirmary. Later in the day, he died of septic shock following a mistaken diagnosis of gastroenteritis. Junior doctor on duty that day was Dr. Khadija Bawa Garva. She was on a 12-hour shift, covering several wards in the absence of her supervisor. The IT system was also under the weather that day. On 17th of April 2012, Dr. Bawa Garva was cleared and the case was closed. But in July 2013, during the inquest, the coroner ordered for the case to be reopened. On 18th of December 2018, Dr. Bawa Garva was charged with gross negligence manslaughter.
I'm not sure I even have words to describe what I felt. Yeah, and then having those handcuffs on my hands, I think that also sort of did something. You know, I don't know if I even have the words to describe how it felt to be found guilty and then to have handcuffs in my hand. I almost felt like I had to make a choice in this place, whether I'm going to sink or swim. And then I knew that although I'm in this cell and 10 people felt that I was guilty, I needed to decide what I believed, not what they're telling me.
Not in 2011, when Jack sadly passed away, but much later, it occurred to the GMC to cancel Dr. Hadija Baba Garva's license to practice.
All of a sudden I felt tired, so I just thought, because it was just draining, it was a heavy verdict, so I just thought I'm going to sleep and set my alarm to go and pick the children up from school and just sleep it off. And I slept, and when I woke up I was just shocked, because it was like all of the medical field, everybody had woken up, it was just the I Am Hadiza movement that started, and I was really humbled by that.
This was a doctor who was put in the middle of a failing system, who was not supported by her seniors, who was not supported by her trust, and who was absolutely let down by her defense organization, to the extent that she managed to have a criminal conviction and was on the verge of losing her license, her livelihood, all the years that she'd done. And this story just absolutely touched a chord in us.
Dr. Baba Garva's case resonated with the pressures that junior doctors work under. Close to 100,000 was collected through crowdfunding in moments. BAPIO, along with other organizations, took the GMC to court. The GMC lost the case. Dr. Hadija Baba Garva's license was reinstated.
Our support to Hadija and the outcome of that case has assured these junior doctors that they can do their best for the patient care without concern about the system failures that was very common in the hospitals.
Encouraged with several wins, BAPIO entered yet another phase of expansion. BAPIO Institute of Health Research has 3 journals to its credit: Harmony, consisting of news and events carried out by BAPIO members; Sushrita, focusing on health policy; and the academic journal The Physician, which can be accessed internationally. These publications endeavor to provide a platform to doctors from minority sectors and to issues that get missed by the traditional journals.
The article we published in The Physician in early 2020 showed that minority doctors were at 2 times higher risk of death from COVID. And we were the first to run that survey, understand the risk, and demonstrate it in the Physician in early 2020. What we found at that stage, and what happened subsequently, is that NHS employers took ethnicity as an independent risk factor, and therefore risk assessment tools were developed, which then allowed doctors at higher risk to be given additional protection and reduce their vulnerability. We believe that article led to a significant policy change, which then we believe saved many lives.
To address the differential attainment in leadership roles amongst international graduates, thus delivering on its promise of training and excellence, BAPIO started the Faculty of Leadership. The module equips international medics with practical tools to enhance their careers.
We did a piece of work called Bridging the Gap, and in that we found differential attainment in leadership roles was very high, especially in the international medical graduates. And one of the reasons was that they did not have access to leadership development. They did not have any people there sponsoring or mentoring them. So the BAPIO Faculty of Leadership is actually been born to address all of those issues. And what comes to mind is the main thing that helped them was creating that psychological and cultural safety. And that is what this leadership program is doing. It is actually explaining to people, what is psychological safety? How can you make that doctor safe enough so that they feel they can actually express their opinions, talk about the problems they're having? Because that's not the case with the black and ethnic minority doctors, unfortunately, because they actually don't speak up because they're scared, they're worried, and then they end up actually having a lot of problems.
A huge population of NHS professionals have their origins in India. Medics from Black, Asian, and ethnic minority groups that included the Indians succumbed to the pandemic in large numbers. Reasons are many, one of them being not having a strong voice. BINA, British Indian Nurse Association, yet another wing of BAPIO, was launched in August 2020 out of this very need.
Most of the Indian nursing community people, they work at the front line. Yeah, during the COVID crisis, we had a lot of issues around the supply of PPEs. Yeah, so they are under very high risk, but their voice was not heard at the top level. So we wanted some sort of association where it can voice about the difficulties faced by the frontline Indian nursing community, and that's why we ended up forming BINA.
I work in ITU. I went through lots of mental depression. I did not speak to anybody. So what I do is I leave home very early. Like my work started 7:30, but I leave home like 6, even 5:45. I come in the car park, I cry there. I was fear of death, to be honest. Like I was thinking, there are lots of BME nurses and doctors, they're dying. That's honest truth. I sit there, I said, am I going to see my family? Am I going to see my daughter? Am I going to be alive? And I did not touch or, be with my children for like so many months. So I was like self-isolating at home. I live in a separate room. My children, my husband will be in a separate room. My daughter, they like me to feed them. It's now 2 years later. At the time, she was 10-year-old. She tells me, Mommy, when you going to feed me? I'm waiting for this. I'm sorry about the language, but that's what she said. This stupid COVID to go away so you can feed me. And when you go out, we hug them and we kiss them. I want your hug and kiss. I'm waiting for that.
Has actually given that voice, not just to those organisations and those nurses, actually, but gone in regionally and nationally and said to our chief nurse, will you support us with this? We're a big organisation now, and actually having BAPIO behind us and working alongside us, it's been fantastic.
As BINA took hold in the UK, a severe crisis emerged in India. India was struggling in the hands of second wave of the pandemic. BAPIO organized oxygen concentrators and medical supplies in big numbers overnight.
The request came through BAPIO saying, we've got concentrators, we've got so many different things that we need to be sent. How do we do it? And when I accepted, believe me, I didn't know what I was getting into. From the time that we brought Qatar Airways onto the picture where they said, okay, we're giving you an empty flight for all the freight that you have. Me announcing that to BAPIO started filling that up. On ground, we had a plan, and the plan was that once it arrives, we had Phenolics Industries helping us with all the duty and clearance and everything. As you know, the bureaucracy becomes too much, but it happened within 3 hours. So from the time that it left London, went into Doha with that halt, came into Mumbai, got clearances and everything. Within, I would say, 48 hours, we were able to ensure that the concentrators reached where they should be.
25 years since its inception, BAPIO has come a long way.
Well, when I look back of 25 years, the first thing I get is feeling of satisfaction. The journey which started something very small, but my ambition and my vision at that time was to make BAPIO an organization with influence and ability to help people. And looking back, I think we have actually managed to come a long way.
And I think it's a very professionally, very ethical organization, and it's quite the way it's grown. I don't think it would have grown if it had not made a difference to people's lives.
What BAPIO did is tackle something which everybody knew but were either afraid or did not have the confidence to tackle head on. And that's what BAPIO has done. And it has done it through its campaigns, through bringing people together, giving people like myself who came after Rameshji, the confidence of a better system and coming into a better system. And I have benefited from what they have done. The new generation who's going to come to next in this country will also benefit from the experience we bring.
मैं अकेला ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल मगर लोग साथ आते गए और कारवां बनता गया.
BAPIO for me is friendship.
BAPIO for me is community.
BAPIO to me is opportunity.
BAPIO for me is continuity.